Hey watch friends, Zelos will be imminently releasing the latest in the Swordfish 40 lineup, and this is going to be the titanium version on the right here. I do want to mention before we get started, if you haven't seen it already, I do have a full in-depth review of this specific one, and as mentioned in that video, this one was provided by Zelos and I don't have to send it back. These other two I purchased myself, but I do want to be upfront about that. So as you can see here, going from left to right, there's now been 3 variants of this SF40 or Swordfish 40, which this is the follow-up to the original Swordfish, which was a 42mm version. As the name would denote, this is of course the 40mm version. On the left here, we have the stainless steel. This was the first to be debuted. Then we had this bronze one that came out in the middle, and this actually debuted a bronze bracelet as well. This was the first Zelos to offer the full bronze bracelet. And then on the right here, this is the one that's going to be launching soon. This is the titanium variant. I wanted to take a quick look for current owners as well as somebody who's potentially looking to purchase their first Swordfish 40. Wanted to get a better idea as to what's changed, what's stayed the same between each of these variants, and what are the materials like. We did a similar thing with the Mako video and wanted to touch upon it again here as well. And I will say, I found the differences between these, despite the fact that these are more similar in many respects, the differences between particularly looking at the stainless steel versus titanium, for me at least, seems to be a little more noticeable on this. So I thought it'd be good to look at the materials side by side. So first, basic specifications on this, they're going to be the same across the lineup. Again, 40mm case, lug to lug is going to be approximately 46mm, a little bit under there. With the male end links, that's going to take it up to a little over 50mm. Lugs are going to be standard of 20mm for each of these. Thickness is going to be right around 12.5, 12.3 millimeters. Each do have a flat sapphire crystal with an inner AR. Each does feature a Seiko NH35 for the movement, 200 meters of water resistance, all that good stuff. It's going to be the same. If you've seen the prior reviews, you know what to expect there. The main thing that's going to vary, as you'd probably expect if you're familiar with these materials, is going to be the weight. So right off the bat, that's something we want to address here. Going from lightest to heaviest, or heaviest to lightest, whichever order we want to go, titanium's going to be the lightest, then stainless, then the bronze. What does that weight equate to? You're going to be looking at, and these are all sized to my 6.5-inch wrist, you're going to be looking at roughly 115 grams for the titanium. You're going to jump up with the stainless up to roughly 147.2 on my scale, grams of course. And then with the bronze, you're going to bump that up further to 163.7, so roughly 164 grams there. So as you can see, it's a pretty significant weight spread. I think all of them feel solid, all of them are nice on the wrist, but it definitely does make a noticeable difference there for scale. As far as appearance, I have these arranged in this order for a reason. I wanted to go kind of a bookend approach because we'll focus mostly on the stainless versus the titanium. The bronze, we already featured a stainless versus bronze comparison video. The bronze is where you're going to see the most differentiation. You'll notice little things on the dial, for instance. The logo on the bronze version is going to be printed, whereas it's applied on both the stainless and the titanium version. You'll notice on the dial configuration, these both have lume chapter rings around the perimeter, whereas this one does not. This additionally is going to be all C3, whereas both of these have BGW9 for that chapter ring, so you get some differentiation there on the lume. Similarly, if you look at the dial, if you look at the 12, 9, and 3 o'clock positions on both of these configurations, you'll see there's a white perimeter that goes around there, whereas that is not featured on the bronze version of that, which I think lends to an overall cleaner appearance. But the biggest thing far and away, and we focused on this before, is going to be the difference in the bracelets. The bracelet on this, as you can see, it's a different curvature, a different style for this. So it's an overall similar construction, but different finishing between the bronze versus the stainless and titanium. So those are really going to be some of the biggies that you're going to see there. I did want to go ahead and let you hear the bezel actions. As you can hear, nice action there. It is, it's a very pronounced, a very tactile feel on this particular one, on this titanium version. However, I don't think it's overly stiff by any means. Here's the bronze. This one feels a little bit softer to me. Still very tactile, but it definitely feels a little bit softer by comparison between those. And then finally, going to the stainless steel. This is by far the softest of the 3. I mean, it is a noticeable difference as far as overall the tactile click and just the stiffness of spinning that around. So this could be one-off samplings. for this, but I would say this also goes from order of softest, medium, and then most stiff here. But I don't think any of them have a bad action or are overly stiff for that feel. I'm going to go ahead and at this point, I'm going to pull this bronze away. We've already looked at this. If you want to see more for comparison, I do encourage you to go check out that video. But what I really wanted to focus on, I'm hoping the camera will pick this up decently. I'm going to flip it around. Looks like it gives you a better angle there as far as for some color. I've noticed there's a lot of difference in coloration. It's always the case between stainless versus titanium. But in particular, I mean, check that out. You get a lot more of a gunmetal hue to this. This to me seems softer. This seems warmer as far as that, depending on how you want to characterize it. I really like the look of the titanium a lot. And this is uncoated grade 2 titanium, whereas this is 316L stainless steel. So you can see there's a lot of difference in coloration there. The clasps are going to be exactly the same between these two. Pardon the marks, of course, this one has been used a little longer there, but they're still going to be the same stainless steel clasp. Both of these are going to be quick release, and they do actually have the same pins as we talked about in the full review. But I wanted to give you an idea, though, of they really do look very different next to each other. Another thing that you'll notice here is you can see both of these, unlike the Mako where it changed the direction of the brushing, both of these do still have the linear and vertical brushing on the side, so that did stay the same. But notice a big difference. Whereas both the bronze and the stainless steel featured polish accents, though it's more muted on the bronze because it's developed some patina, you can see that clear polish. Whereas, look at this. You can see that's the first time I've seen, at least on these models, that has a matte or a bead blasted kind of texture there. So it still has the same chamfer cuts. For that, though, it does look a little more pronounced. It could just be the difference in the coloration, an optical illusion there. But it overall, appearance-wise, they're going to, as you'd expect, be very similar in profile silhouette. But actually, looking at these on wrist, this one has a little more of a flatter coloration, which I think is lending to the titanium versus the stainless here. As you can see, that has a little more sheen to it. But then that polish versus the bead blasting or the sand blasting there, you can see that's a noticeable difference. So that matte versus polish. So that really makes a difference for appearance. And that continues all the way around. Here we go on the top of the crown guards. You can see the stainless steel. It's going to have full polish there, pardon the fingerprints. And then on this one, you can see again, that's going to have that blasted texture and appearance there. Looking at the crowns, overall layout, I mean, everything else is going to be pretty similar between those. Again, the same thing carries over to the lugs. Look at your compound inner lug cuts here. You've got the polish there. You've got that matte texture here. But beyond that, though, you can see the overall construction is very similar between these. You have basically the same curvature as far as for the male end links there. You can see the same thing on the bracelet. Again, polished, matte. So that really changed that up as far as the overall appearance. And I think that was a good call. You know, I like the way, as far as not only for holding up for scratches and kind of blending, I like the way this one has a little more of a rugged industrial look. This one looks a little more industrial, as far as the overall appearance there. They're, of course, going to look very similar on the wrist because they wear the same and they're effectively the same watch. But that being said, I was kind of surprised at those differences. So overall, I really think, just like with other ones, this is going to come down to a subjective call as far as which one you prefer. I do appreciate both of the materials. I like the appearances of both of them. I like the feel of both of them. But this, you're going to have a little more temperature variability for this. This will heat up more with your body temperature, whereas this will stay a little more temperature neutral. This one's going to have a little more flash. You can still see some light play there that does occur with both, but you can see a little more sheen with this. This has a little more reflectivity. This is a little more matte, a little more subdued for that. So it really depends on what you're looking for. Ignore things like the bezel inserts. You know, this particular one does have a titanium bezel insert, whereas this has a ceramic bezel insert, but that does vary by the specific one that you get. And I didn't talk too much about the dials because each of these are going to be available in different configurations as well. As you can see, both of these are going to be looking at a sunburst pattern for the overall dial. And this does give you a better idea too of the coloration. This one's what I'm referring to as a slate blue color, whereas this is the traditional Zelos teal. So you can see kind of how that looks, how this picks up more of the gray and the sky blue coloration to that. So that's really all I wanted to hit on here, is just wanted to give you a better idea. If you are on the fence about any of these and trying to make a decision on which to go for, I don't think you can go wrong with any of them. I think each of them packs an exceptional value. Price-wise, this was coming in at around $269 at launch. These are going to be starting at $329 at launch, and these are for the standard dials. This particular one, the bronze bracelet was an extra accessory. I believe that came in around $500 if I recall correctly. I think it was $300 for the watch and then $200 for the bracelet. So you can see it really kind of splits the difference as to what you're looking for in overall configuration, in different style and option. So I think it's primarily going to come down to preference based. There really isn't a bad one in the bunch. For me, if I were to pick, I would have to say I would lean towards either the bronze, because I love that patina and all that's going on there, or I would probably go with this titanium. Yeah, like we talked about in the video, I would have liked to have seen toolless micro or the coating for that, but I don't really think you can go wrong with it, especially at the value that each of these presents. I think they're watches that present a unique design, they wear well, I think they're attractive looking, and now you've got a little bit of something for everybody, depending on your particular preference for metal. So I hope this has been helpful as a supplement to the respective reviews for these. If you did enjoy this video, please do hit that like button. And if you haven't done so already, I'll be bringing you new content all the time. I've got a lot of new prototypes and different watches coming in, so please do smash that subscribe button. And finally, if you're looking to help me out, you can hit any of the Amazon affiliate links. Doesn't cost you anything and does get me a small commission for any of your purchases. Doesn't have to be the linked items. Or if you're looking for another medium, you can find me on Instagram. Thanks for watching.